It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazawey. Let's talk some sports.
Good afternoon to the Woodward Sports Network. We are live on the Woodward Sports Network. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I, of course, am not Ryan Ermanni. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for the great Ryan Ermanni. The man to my right, of course, is the great Braylon Edwards, and back after a long layup. I know you guys are all excited to see him. It is the great Tom Mazawey.
Hey, fellas.
Yes.
Happy belated birthday to my man, Braylon Edwards.
Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday to George Washington.
Hey.
And Sam, welcome in, man.
Thank you.
You're like a big boy sitting up there.
I know, right? It almost started from the sound booth. Now I'm here. I love it. I hope that JB eventually has the kind of rise that I have. Speaking of JB, we got him here in the sound booth as well. And, of course, Fletch. JB, how are you doing on this lovely Ice-Mageddon storm that we are braving through?
I'm doing all right. I'm just looking at outside right now, just thinking how I'm going to have to scrape the windshield of my car to get out of here.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Absolutely. Fletch, are you dreading the commute home as much as all the rest of us are?
Yeah, like I always do. Drive safe, people. Don't get too close to people. You might be a good driver, but it doesn't mean everybody around you is.
But of course, yes, the show must go on. We are braving our way through, and that is okay. And speaking of okay, and even better than okay, how about the Detroit Red Wings last night, winning their 6th game out of their last 7, picking up a good 12 points in a little over 2 weeks. They are now 2 games out of a wild card spot, going to Washington in a game in which Washington did not have Alexander Ovechkin. That is a game that the Detroit Red Wings absolutely needed, and they got it. Doesn't it feel good, everybody, to have another Detroit team in a playoff push? We already went through the Lions season, in which the latter part of the season, they finished the year 8-2, and they were absolutely part of a playoff push, and now we get it again with the Detroit Red Wings, and I think they have a very, very good chance. Do we all, Maz, I'll start with you. Do you have Red Wing fever yet?
It's coming. I usually don't like the hockey regular season. I'll be honest with you. I don't watch a ton of games. Red Wing games are different. If they're really playing well like they are now, of course I'm more interested than I used to be. And hey, they're 2 points out of the 8th spot. They got 4 games in hand. Yep. They're playing really well. It looks like they're responding to Derek Lalonde. So I'm happy for them. Bray, you liked their acquisition of Ville Husso right at the beginning. And the goalie, man, it makes your team. Yeah, and they're riding his back.
100%. I was excited. Last year you saw the Wings score a lot of points, but then you saw them score 5, give up 7, score 6, give up 8. And you're wondering, like, man, when they're going to make the change. The first 2 moves they made, they got the goaltending coach, and then they got Ville Husso, man. And Ville Husso, over the last 2 weeks, he's been playing extremely well. I heard this, and I'm eager to wonder, what are your guys' thoughts on it? So the Red Wings, we've been talking about the process of Stevie Y, and even a little bit before Stevie Y, it's the process, and we're close. We're a couple games, we're here, we're there. We've been hearing about this for a while, and here we are once again. Yep. We're close. Do you trade Tyler Bertuzzi, who's been injured and who's had his fair share of things over the last couple of years and been, to a certain extent, when he's there, he plays well, but when he's not, it's a distraction. Do you trade him and get younger players or more for him? Or do you ride this thing out so you can see actual turnaround, potentially even this year sneaking into the 8th spot?
Man, that's the $1,000,000 question.
See, you weren't expecting that out of me, right?
You know what? I was. I know you know your hockey. I know you love your Red Wings. To me, I would probably hold on to him because I think that having Tyler Bertuzzi, especially if he's healthy, he'd be one of their best goal scorers, and I think he would drastically help a playoff push for this season. I mean, we might lose him for nothing in the offseason. I don't know if I would pay him long term. So that is the conundrum. But I would probably. The Red Wings and the Detroit sports scene as a whole just needs a playoff team. It's about time. And I think that would be huge for the city of Detroit and for the Red Wings and their young players. And hey, if you get into the dance in the NHL, if you get a hot goaltender, if you just go on a hot streak, it's not like the NBA where the 1 seed there's almost never an 8 seed over a 1 seed. You have a chance. So I think I would keep Tyler Bertuzzi and just
St. Louis Blues, baby.
Yeah. And a few years ago, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the 8-seed Blue Jackets, beat one of the greatest regular season hockey teams ever, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They swept them in the first round as an 8-seed. I'm not saying that the Red Wings are going to do that if they get in as an 8-seed against maybe the Boston Bruins, who have only lost 8 games. But I want, at least for this season, to give them the best shot. And I think Tyler Bertuzzi, a healthy Tyler Bertuzzi, gives them that shot. And I don't know what you can get for him if you were to trade him. I don't know if it would be worth it.
That's very interesting. I like that. And you make a very good point. See, if you sneak into the dance, you get into the dance in hockey and the NHL, it's much different than the other sports. I mean, maybe NHL, maybe MLB to a certain extent, but NHL is one of the sports, and you got to think about who this team is. We're talking about sneaking in. It's the Detroit Red Wings. You know what's around there. It's magic. It's the Red Wings. It's what they've done in the past. It's what they keep around them. Darren McCarty's always down there. You got Stevie Y, who's the man in charge. So they get into that playoffs, and some of that Red Wings magic might come out, man.
Yes.
Hey, what are the odds on Bertuzzi signing back here? Because that, to me, if you're telling me it's 40 that he's going to sign and 60 he's not, I'm trading him.
Okay.
I'm not going to lose it for nothing. I can tell you that for sure. And Steve Yzerman, we put it in his hands. Like Darren says, don't worry about it. Yep. It's the Yzer plan. He's got it. Plan. So I'm going to trust the captain to make the right move. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's got there. He's got a piece of gold in his hand there in Bertuzzi. I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
Sure, the whole COVID thing, it didn't work out. But we're over that now, thank God. We move on. Yeah, he's been getting injured. But when he's not getting injured, he really can light it up. And I think the team wants him. I think the team likes him. They play well when he's in there. I wouldn't give up on him unless I know I can't sign him.
And that's fair. And speaking of which, I know we'll get back to the Red Wings a little bit later. Speaking of hockey and lighting it up, today is the 43rd anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, in which the USA hockey team defeated the mighty Russians in one of the biggest upsets in sports history.
The biggest.
And you know what? I won't argue with that. And speaking of you, Maz, you actually were there to see it. You lived through it. So I want to go to you. What did that moment mean for you?
Oh, my God. It's my favorite sports moment. It's like even more to me than a sports moment. It's the U.S. They had no chance to win. They're kids. Yeah. They're not going to beat these pros that push Canada around in the Canada Cup and all of that. These are the pros. They got the best goalie in the world in Tretiak. They got it all going. And this guy and these guys come together in Lake Placid. And you saw Herb Brooks, how he put that team together. Yeah, how he put that team together. All these kids from different colleges. Some kids that hated each other. Learn to play on the same team and help each other and love each other. And I'll tell you, man, I might watch Miracle tonight.
Yeah.
Because Kurt Russell, he nailed Herb Brooks. It is unbelievable. And Jim Craig looking around for his dad. His mom passed away, just weeks before he went to camp with Team USA. And they knock out the Russians, but they had to wait 2 days to win the gold medal.
See, and that's what
on Sunday morning against the Finns.
And that's what I was gonna say. Growing up, that was that era. That's the Cold War era. That's Russia versus the United States of America. My favorite movie of all time is Rocky IV.
There you go.
Once again, it's Russia versus USA. So, learning about that as I got older, like it just became a moment that's ingrained in us because this is how we grew up. It's the era I grew up in. It wasn't until I watched the movie that I didn't realize that wasn't for the gold.
Yeah.
That was the semifinal round.
And they were losing on Sunday morning.
Until I watched Kurt Russell, we just talked about how great he was in that movie.
Yep.
I was like, wait, that wasn't the championship round? So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, probably that one and Buckner.
Oh, yeah, Bill Buckner. That did not win the World Series.
Because everybody thinks they think that's game. Yeah, those are the two biggest ones for me. Buckner and Miracle on Ice.
I actually feel very, very strongly, not to digress about the Bill Buckner thing. It was actually more that closer's fault that
because
gave
you're
up.
supposed to take the knee?
It was, what was his name? I forgot his name.
Well, Bob Stanley.
Yeah, Bob Stanley.
No, but then came in Calvin Schiraldi, the former Met. And Schiraldi unraveled.
The manager's supposed to take him out, though, because didn't he have bad knees? And
John McNamara.
Yeah,
he should have made the switch, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Should have made the switch.
Yeah, Bill Buckner.
Blame it on the coach.
Yeah, Bill Buckner, to me, got unfairly scapegoated. You got to make the play, but the game was already tied at that point. The Red Sox had already blown the lead, but I'm not going to get too much into
they had the whole locker room all dressed up for the Red Sox, the champagne, everything. Keith Hernandez and Mookie Wilson left
Keith
the
Hernandez.
dugout and took their pants off, went in the clubhouse, started smoking, and just laying in the lounge. And someone had to go get him and say, "Get your ass out there. We're making a rally." And the rest is history.
The rest is
Keith
history.
Hernandez from the Mets.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
Yep.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he would smoke right on first base.
That's
He didn't
probably
give a damn where he
why.
would smoke.
That's probably why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was
You guys got to watch that 30 for 30 or the, I don't know, whatever they want to call it, the ESPN.
From Buckner.
No, the whole Mets.
You and I talked about.
I know that
Yeah,
whole
watched it, yeah.
1986 Mets team.
It's like a 3-part series. Like
Yeah,
a 3-4
that was
part
really,
series.
that was really
Something
a
to
fun
try.
series. If you love baseball,
The Subway.
you would love
Yeah.
that. You would love that.
That was a phenomenal documentary. I actually saw that. And to me, and I know this might seem a little bit controversial, but to me, Keith, I didn't really like the way
Queens is burning?
I didn't like the way that Keith Hernandez kind of came off in that documentary. I thought he spoke a little bit too disrespectfully of Gary Carter. Made it seem like Gary Carter was sort of
Well, that's
Keith
the way he was looked at, man. I remember living through it. I'm
All
a
right,
Mets fan.
fair enough.
I mean, that's the he was deemed a show off. Hey, look at me kind of guy. When really he turned out to be a phenomenal teammate.
Yeah.
And a great player and gone way too soon. Gary Carter, the kid from the Expos, then went to the Mets.
Didn't
and,
drink, didn't smoke.
Didn't do it.
everything.
He was right
And
down the middle.
And he was on that team.
Yep.
See, everything happens for a reason.
Isn't that something?
Because we know what everybody else in that team was doing.
Hell yeah.
They were getting down.
Yeah, no,
We're
that
getting
was
down.
it was fascinating to kind of learn more about the behind the scenes of that team. One of the most fascinating teams in MLB history, one that I absolutely needed to make a documentary about, and they did, and it was phenomenal. So speaking of great moments in sports history, I was curious, Maz, is the Miracle on Ice, is that your favorite one that you've seen and lived through?
Absolutely. Nothing even comes close to it, to me. And I like the Kentucky Derby. You know me. Last year, Rich Strike at 99-1 wins the Kentucky Derby.
watched that here.
Unknown horse,
Didn't we
bought
watch
for
it here?
$5,000. Pardon?
Watched it here.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of great sports moments. And you can go back to Villanova beating Georgetown, Patrick Ewing's team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal win there. And
Very
so
true.
many. I'm leaving out a million of them.
Christian,
but on the top
Grand
of
Hill
the tree.
Christian Leitner one.
That's a great one, too.
Grand Hill
On top
Christian
of the
Leitner.
tree is USA over Russia.
USA
No
over-
doubt. Miracle on Ice forever. And it's 43 years, man.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Now, Braylon, you've actually played in some big games. What is your favorite memory, like your favorite game that you ever played in? I'll say as a pro.
Does it have to be the performance was on my side, or does it just be a performance in that game?
Well, let me give you an example. One
Okay.
of which involves you guys. One of my favorite sports moments, and I know people are going to call me a hater. Every time a Tom Brady quarterback team loses in the playoffs, I get very happy. And
Gotcha.
one of the
Yeah.
biggest upsets of all time was your team, the New York Jets, going into Foxborough against a dominant Patriots team and basically beating them like they stole something from start to finish, dominating that game, and it was beautiful to watch. I believe you had a
Yeah.
touchdown in that game.
I did.
So
All right, I'll give you two. I'll give you one that I witnessed that was not me or my team, and I'll give you that one. That's number one for me. I actually just posted the New York Jets. It still is my birthday, by the way. The New York Jets posted something for my birthday yesterday, and it was that play, the slant that I caught against the Patriots. That was an interesting year because we beat them first game.
Was that the Monday night game?
No, this is playoffs. This is the semifinals where they were the number one seed.
Even better.
Yeah, we were the fifth seed, and they were number one seed. But we beat them to open the season. Then going into Monday night, week 11, week 11, we're 9-1. They're 9-1. Like we're about to get it on, and they beat us 49-3. So going into the playoffs, nobody thought we could win. And, we just caught fire early, man. We dominated that game. Bart said what he said after the game. Can't wait. And it was exciting. So that was probably the best one I've been in and just made a play in the right moment. But the performance that I saw up close and personal was Adrian Peterson, man. We played Adrian Peterson in 2008 to start the season. This is the infamous highlight they showed, Sam and Maz. You've seen it a million times. He's playing the Browns. He gets to the sideline and throws the DB about 10 yards out of bounds. So going into that game, defense was like, we're going to stop Adrian Peterson. We're going to focus on the run game. And we're just going to shut him down. We're going to make whoever the hell was playing quarterback at the time, maybe it's Tavares Jackson or something like that. And going into the fourth quarter, I think he only had 32 yards, 34 yards. That play happened. Another play happened. He ended up with 178 yards in the game, and he came into the fourth quarter. It was just watching a man amongst boys, and it was funny because I told my dad when I first met Adrian Peterson, I shook his hand, I said, he's got the strongest handshake I've ever felt. And Adrian Peterson is like 4 years younger than me. I said, he has the strongest handshake of anyone I've ever met. Fast forward, 4 years later, that play happened, and you saw it up close and in person.
Yeah, so. Prime Adrian Peterson, at least for someone my age, was as good as any running back I've ever seen. Great to hear a moment from a guy who actually lived it and played in the NFL. Coming up next, speaking of the NFL, we're going to talk a little bit about the Detroit Lions and their expectations. We're going to do a little mini fill in the blank, but it's just one question. I think you guys will really enjoy it. But before we do that, we have to go to break. Tell us about Chili Peppers tanning, Tom Mazawey.
You got it, man. We all want to start looking good and getting that dark skin going. And look outside. You ain't getting it outside in Michigan, I can tell you that. I was in Florida for a couple of days, and I came home to an ice storm. That's what we get here in Michigan. We know that. So if you want to look good and feel good and get that vitamin D, get down to Chili Peppers Tanning. They just had a free tanning weekend. I hope you guys got to get down there and get acquainted with the place. If you join the Pepper Club, they're going to beat all competitors by $5 on unlimited tanning. How about that? You get the cleanest salons in the D, the hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, the darkest tans. Your vitamin D headquarters, chilipepperstanning.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
Citron World is an aspirational lifestyle beverage brand with a line of sparkling flavored waters, energy beverages, and premium bottled waters. Citron is fashionable, Citron is fun, and it is functionable. Gotta drink Citron, gotta love it. Drink it, live it with Citron.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am not Ryan Ermanni. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Ryan Ermanni. This is Braylon Edwards, and this is Tom Mazawey. We've got JB Smoove in the sound booth, and Fletch on the ones and twos on the technical directing booth. Does a great job for us as always. So everybody knows, and it's sometimes an unsaid thing, but it's obvious. The second most popular sport is the NFL offseason. And with the NFL offseason, a lot of teams have hope. The draft is coming up. The NFL is sort of geared towards parity. And that is certainly no different for the Detroit Lions, who are coming off one of their best seasons I can remember. Definitely their best year since 2014, in my opinion. And
that's a fact.
Yes, and one in which there's a lot of hope moving forward. So with that in mind, there was a list there, Fletch, you have that tweet, of next season my team will, and it gives us you the choices of win the Super Bowl, make the playoffs, exceed expectations, be average, or be bad. I think I know where you guys are going to go with next season my team will. I'll start with you, Tom Mazawey, since you probably have a lot to say, being out for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Next season, the Detroit Lions will.
Well, there should be another number there. It should be 1A. Win a playoff game, because that's what I think they will do next year. Not only will they make it, I believe they will win a round or two. How about that? Or two. I really believe in this team. I love the direction they're going. I cannot wait for the draft. We got another mock draft here that's going to knock you on your keister today when you look and who sees what number one is going to be. I mean, there's a guy picking up steam, and I wouldn't mind having him on my team, but I understand what you guys are going to do. That we'll do that later. But I think the Lions, with these picks, what do they got? 5 picks in the top 60.
Quarterback by chance.
Yeah, he could be. He could. He could. You know me with that. I'm not going to give up that ghost. But I just love the direction they're going in. I do definitely trust what Brad Holmes and his staff are doing. John Dorsey also helping, Chris Spielman, the rest of that team. I don't know. I just feel that they are on the precipice of taking it and getting to be a national team that people talk about instead of the team that is laughed at and not even talked about really, because that's the way it's been in Detroit for as long as I've lived. The Detroit Lions have only been spoken about when Barry Sanders really was running the ball, and they made 5 playoffs in the 90s, made it to the NFC Championship in 91, and then came back a few years later. Of course, still made the playoffs a couple times, but then 2014 is when that really good team came out. That defense and on that 2014 team was something to be reckoned with. They just could not put it all together on offense, which was a shame. And then they got robbed in Dallas, which we won't go over. But nonetheless, this is the best team since those days, Sam. And Braylon, you got to agree with me. They got to they got to make the playoffs, I know. But they got to win a game.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you anyway. I think what we're saying actually was on there, and it's exceed expectations. I think everybody has the expectations now for the Detroit Lions to not only make it to the playoffs, but win the NFC North. But I agree with Maz. I said, and that's why I said exceed expectations. That means win the first round of playoffs. That means winning the second round of the playoffs potentially. I think the Detroit Lions are in a good position to trust that that's a chance. Look, we don't know what's going to happen year to year. Year to year, things change, teams reload. It's going to be another uphill battle next year. You know who we play. They play the AFC West along with our division. It's going to be better. But with that being said, they have their offense intact. Ben Johnson came back. Everybody that had the success last year, everybody that they was on this team to have the success, they're still here. They're still back going into next year as of now. You look at the defense, and Aaron Glenn getting better on the opposite side. Dan Campbell getting better as a head coach the last 10 games of the season. Their integrity is intact of a team that finished 8-2. And they're only going to get better with the free agent picks that they're going to make as well as the draft picks. So this is an exciting time to be a Detroit Lions fan. I think they should exceed expectations. Don't be surprised if the Detroit Lions are sneaking in the NFC NFC Championship game. I don't want to blow too much smoke, but NFC is always ever evolving. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. We got to see what they're going to be next year. Who's going to be the quarterback for the 49ers
they got a lot
next
of questions.
year? There's a lot of questions in the NFC. Minnesota. Is Brian Flores going to get that defense together? Are they going to keep Dalvin Cook? With that being said, here's another question. Why not the Detroit Lions?
Here's another sidebar, just to where the Lions are going. You're reading and seeing and hearing interviews now with Calvin Johnson, and he's coming back to the family. He's coming back to the Lions family. Here's a guy we all know that had some money coming to him, but when he retired, they said, well, you didn't complete your contract, so you're not going to get this money. If you want to come get it, you're going to have to do, A, B, C, and D for us. He said, no, take a hike. Basically, he wanted to be traded from the Lions. We had him on here last year. We asked him, first people to ask him, did you want to go somewhere? He's like, hell yeah, I want to go somewhere. They didn't give him an opportunity. But now, instead of getting booed when Sheila Ford is standing next to him at midfield, when they're giving him, his Hall of Fame accolades and putting him up on the Ring of Honor, the Pride at Ford Field, instead of getting booed, he's now becoming part of the Lions family again, and he's digging it. He's loving it, and I just think it's great. It's awesome for the team. They're going in the right direction.
Hey,
and all. Yes.
Hey, it's a little bit easier to come back to a foundation that did you dirty when you're winning again.
Yeah.
When it's starting to look good again.
Yep.
When it's looking like something to be a part of. And I'm not taking a shot at Calvin because I love Calvin, but it's a little bit easier when you're going in the right way as a franchise.
Yeah, not only are they winning, they have another young star wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, and last season their second first-round draft pick, Jamison Williams, who had a bit of a lost season because of injury. But
I wouldn't say so.
I mean, he only touched the ball 2 times.
Yeah, but it's about what he did in practice. It's about the scrimmages that he participated in. He did get some game film in there, you know what I'm saying, getting on some. You're right, he didn't get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games in, but he got the flow of the game. He got the feel of the game a little bit, so it's a little confidence booster.
Yeah, he got behind the defense a couple times, too.
And that is very, very fair. He had 2 touches where he went 40-plus yards both times. One that was called back on that flea flicker, and one where it was against the Jets where he got behind the defense and Jared Goff missed him. So, yeah, Calvin Johnson being part of the fold again, I heard that, Braylon, is I think it's great for a young team, especially one with an offense that was elite last year and I think could get even better this next year. And that's why I agree with both of you. I think you can say make the playoffs and exceed expectations because I think we all, and I know we're a little high on the Kool-Aid.
They do.
We all expect the Detroit Lions to win this division, and why wouldn't you? They won 9 games last season. They almost made the playoffs. You think that the Vikings, they were 13-4, and you never know what they're going to do in the offseason, but they were also 11-0 in one-score games. They were outscored on the season. They actually had a worse statistical offense and defense than the Lions. That type of season is an anomaly wrapped in an enigma in a way that I don't think we'll ever see again. The Packers, you never know what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers. They're a question mark, and the Bears have so many holes. The Bears have way too many holes. They have a lot of cap space, but their cupboard is pretty bare right now in terms of actual players. But you mentioned it. Ben Johnson's back. The coordinator that we were all afraid was going to take a head coaching job. He's back. And obviously Jared Goff, once Ben Johnson was pretty much empowered, looked the best he's looked since 2018, maybe the best he's looked in his whole career. You got that offensive line coming back, another year with Penei Sewell to develop, another year with Amon-Ra St. Brown in year 3, and that defense was basically led by young players and rookies like Aiden Hutchinson, Malcolm Rodriguez, Josh Pascal, Kirby Joseph, James Houston, and their coordinator, who I think we all believe in because of how he got them playing towards the end of the year, is also coming back, Aaron Glenn. We believe in Brad Holmes, their GM, who is already staking a claim as the best GM in Detroit Lions history, and he's only in his 3rd season. We all expect him to have another good draft because he's had a couple slam dunks in a row. And the head coach, Dan Campbell. I know, Maz, you've been on the Dan Campbell train ever since the beginning. You never wavered. Some of us did when they started the season 1-6, but you have to give them credit for 2021 having 3 wins and them going to 9, tripling their win total in 2022. So a lot of what made them better last year is coming back. They're not really losing anyone big. So absolutely,
Can we go back to something from yesterday?
Yes.
Now
yes.
that Matt is here, I want to go back to something yesterday. We were showing grades, and then by chance, as we're talking, Fletch, if you see it, throw it back up there. But we were talking grades for the season.
Yeah.
This past season, the Lions were given an A-.
Yeah.
And the Seattle Seahawks were given an A- as well?
Yes.
I was thinking back on that, Maz, and I want you to see if you go with me on this. I was thinking back on the season, and yes, it was a tremendous year for the Lions. They finished 9-8. They finished 8-2 last 10 games. Fletch, appreciate it. This is it right here. These are the grades for last season by the 33rd team. Shout out to our boy Ari Mayrove. And as you see, the Lions A-, and the Seahawks also have an A-. I was thinking back, and I was like, I can't give the Lions an A-. I have to give the Lions a B. They start off
a flat B, not B plus.
I gotta give them a flat B.
All right.
I think what we want to do as fans, given this grade, we want to just look at the 8-2. We want to just look at the last 10 games. You want to just look at that and almost getting in, and you want to look at what they did in Green Bay. All that stuff is cool, but how you start, how bad that defense was, even if you still look statistically, how bad that defense was. And here's the last deciding factor. That's how I'm going to take it down a grade. To get that A-, y'all would have had to beat Carolina. Because you had everything. You had all the chips. You were ready. And Carolina wasn't a powerhouse. Now, the defense is a good defense and a decent running team. But you had everything on your side for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
And then you lose to Carolina on the road, and they got drugged. By the way, I looked at that and I said, I can't give them an A-. B plus, a little too high. I think a solid B, like one that's almost a B plus. But I think that's fair considering how they started, man.
That's fair.
The no Carolina question. Game kind of like came back into my head.
They were undressed in that game. They were not ready. Don't you remember when they came to midfield and Dan Campbell shook Steve Wilkes' hand and he says, "Hey, you had your team ready. You guys kicked our ass."
Absolutely.
All right. I mean, they did. What'd they have? 200 yards in the first quarter rushing?
They
were, the holes were gaping holes. I don't know what the hell happened in that game. I had no idea.
They ran at Aiden Hutchinson, and they ran away from the other side, and Aiden Hutchinson's not used to the team running downhill. It's very similar to what the Dallas Cowboys, what the Eagles did to the Dallas Cowboys with Cooper Rush. They ran downhill at Micah Parsons, and they took Micah Parsons out of that game. Wow. That's exactly what they did to Aiden Hutchinson. They ran downhill at him as opposed to running away and trying counters and being cute with the tackles. Sometimes you just got to line up, say, Hut, 2-man down. Run down.
I'll take a B any day because we've been getting nothing but Fs.
Thank you.
Here.
It's a great. Now you say B, people are like, oh, he's a hater. He doesn't want to. I'm like, B is a great grade considering how it started and me factoring everything in.
No, I would still probably give them a B+ just because of going from 3 wins the previous season to 9, tripling your win total. But if anything knocks them down from a B+ to a B, it's giving up the Carolina Panthers franchise record for rushing yards in a game, essentially to Deontay Foreman and Chuba Hubbard. That is not acceptable. And if they win that game, they probably make the playoffs. So B+.
Not probably, they do.
They do. And the Seattle Seahawks being an A-, they deserve that because they actually made the playoffs. And their expectations were pretty low. They were going into the season with Geno Smith as their quarterback.
They beat the Lions, so maybe they should be ahead of them, right?
Hey, they did.
Thank you, man.
And that was another very, very missed opportunity by the Lions where they scored 45 points and lost. Unacceptable, terrible. But overall, we are all happy.
Well, Rashad Penny had 200 yards rushing.
He certainly did, too. And that's another thing you can't have happen, have Rashad Penny run over you. But I think we would all agree that the Lions had a good year. We're happy with where they're going. And I think we all expect them to make the playoffs, possibly win the division and win playoff games next year. And that's amazing that we're having these conversations.
We're going to get a lot of games this year on national TV as well.
Yep, and you see that home schedule. If you look at that, I think the Lions can feast on that one. We're going to talk a little bit more NFL when we're back, a little more NFL offseason because it's just so much fun and everybody has so much hope, including us as Lions fans, and rightfully so. But first, I have to tell you all about Guardian Alarm. It's New Year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, at 1-800-STAY-OUT. And know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. One more time, 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Fake money.
Hey, it's Maz for Big Boy Seafood Fest. It's back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can. Some favorites during Lent. That starts today. It's Ash Wednesday. Shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and the new fish sandwich. Go to your local Big Boy today. Don't forget the all-you-can-eat fish fry buffet on Friday nights. Who doesn't love a fish fry on a Friday night? Get to your local Big Boy. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
It just reached a good
welcome
time.
back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Ryan Ermanni. This is Braylon Edwards. We also got Tom Mazawey, JV Smooth on the ones and twos, and of course Fletch.
Did you guys have a good Fat Tuesday yesterday? That was Braylon's birthday. It kind of like intersected with your birthday. You had cake.
I got Fat
I
Tuesday.
see Ryan brought you in some
Day.
cake and champagne.
Yeah, Ryan, man, shout out. He did a great thing, man. Balloons are still behind me. We'll have those all weekend. Had the champagne.
That's
had the
sweet.
cake. It was like, yeah, it's a good brother right there. It was fun after that. Go home.
And you had a hell of a dinner.
Yeah, mom, sisters, they cooked it up, man. Big steak, potatoes. Shout out to you guys. I love you. Some, what was it? Buffalo shrimp.
Oh, nice.
Buffalo shrimp. They were good as well. And a little adult treat as I watched some Marvel movies.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Adam Morency, I heard he brought you guys in some punchki yesterday.
Dude, I had 2 punchkis and a piece of cake before I even left work, and then
Good
I had
for you, Sam.
and then I went out to dinner with my wife and the in-laws to this place called Bayou Grill in Belleville. So I'm feeling the food.
Did you buy you a grill?
Were you in a food coma?
I was in a food coma, and now I'm on a food hangover, which as I get into my 30s is actually just as bad as an alcohol hangover.
That's no good.
Sit you down.
Yes, thank you all for asking. Before we move on, I just want to get JB's thoughts really quick on the Lions' expectations. Where do you see them
doesn't
going
have
next
any
year?
thoughts.
He's got thoughts. He's a very smart man.
I think a couple of those things will actually happen. So next year for the Detroit Lions, 1, they will exceed expectations. 2, make a playoff experience. 3 be NFC North champions. And, of course, I'm not going to put my heavyweights comment on here, but I am drinking the Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid, and I need to see what Brad Holmes does in this draft before I say that they will be NFC North or NFC champions. But to add on to Braylon's, don't be surprised if you see the Lions in an NFC championship game.
I'm telling you.
I'll tell you what, man. If you win your division, you've got a chance. You got a chance to go to the Super Bowl and win it. But some players that are in free agency that might have a shot at making other teams contenders, the free agent wide receivers. You got the list right here. And when I first look at the list, you got Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith-Schuster, Alan Lazard, our very own DJ Chark, which we will expound upon, Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton, Marvin Jones, Mecole Hardman, Noah Brown, and Jarvis Landry. And when I first look at this list, there's a lot of average to okay to good. I see a couple guys who used to be great, like a Jarvis Landry, for example, but he's obviously past his prime. Braylon, you're obviously the expert here on wide receivers. Is there anyone on this list that would intrigue you if you were an NFL GM?
DJ Chark definitely intrigued me if I'm a GM. I saw what he was able to do in Jacksonville 2 years ago and also what he did towards the end of the year last year. I mean, he looked like he really was finding himself, kind of like the guy we saw in training camp on Hard Knocks. So definitely would intrigue me. A 6'3" guy that can get down the field, stretch it vertically. He would intrigue me. Mecole Hardman would intrigue me. If I'm looking for that third receiver that runs the trick plays, slants in and out, some of those routes you saw in the Super Bowl, as well as jet sweeps, because he's still a fast guy, small guy, used to handling the ball, doesn't play a ton, but the times he comes in, players are designed for him. If you run an offense style like that, why not look for a guy like that? I know the Colts have done that in the past with receivers like that. It could be a good spot for me. It could be a good player if you're looking for that. And outside that, Lazard is still interesting. Like, Lazard's one of those players where...
That's my guy.
Like, he's one of those players where there's sometimes I can convince myself that this is a guy I can see being my number 2 wide receiver, having some high production, and me trust him. And there are other times I watch Alan Lazard, I'm like, this guy doesn't get it. This guy is waiting for Devontae Adams to come out somewhere and save him. He just doesn't feel like he's ready to take that next leap to, real tough 2, possibly 1. So, interesting list, but... DJ Chark's probably the guy on that list that will interest me the most, and Mecole Hardman in certain offenses.
Speaking of DJ Chark, if you're the Detroit Lions, would you resign DJ Chark?
I would.
Ooh, okay.
I would. Like, I think, because I don't think DJ Chark is going to command anywhere over $15 million. I don't think he will.
You think he's going to get a 50% increase? He made 10 last year.
Well, it was like I say he won't get past 15 minutes. So he won't get past 15. He made 8. He didn't get the incentives to get to 10.
Got it.
But it's like they really were trying to try him at the 10 to get to the 15. So I think if they like him, they're going to have to come somewhere between 13, 8, and 15. So you're going to have Jameson Williams, rookie deal. He's going to be a guy that, as you want to implement more into the system, you got a guy that's proven over there as a second guy, and then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think you could do some damage with them as you're building Jameson Williams to be what he's going to be. So I like it in there, man. I like him in that slot with Detroit Lions.
Whoever wants to be the cheapest guy on that list, that's the guy I'll take. Because I don't think you need much from that list.
Those guys are old. So that's what I'm saying. The guys on the list is a lot of older guys. Marvin Jones, he's been here before. You look at Jarvis Landry. Thank you, Fletch. You look at what we talk about. Noah Brown's interesting, though. Noah Brown could be an interesting guy on that list. Paris Campbell's a guy that he's been in the league a couple years.
He had no one to throw to. He had no one throwing to him.
Carson Wentz had a good year 2 years ago, and he was decent in those 2 years. Darius Slayton might be the one on this list that I actually like.
Coming off surgery.
Yeah, but still young though.
It's funny that I haven't heard anybody mention the number 1 listed on this.
Jacoby Myers. I know.
You know the funny thing about Jacoby Myers is I did a little bit of a look at his numbers. He was actually pretty damn good last year considering what he had to work with, like with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi as his quarterbacks. You
don't like Mac Jones?
I mean, it was more.
Why are you disparaging Mac Jones?
I'm not disparaging Mac Jones. I'm just saying him and Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator. I'm saying it more to excuse the fact that Jacoby Myers didn't put up better numbers, but he was still able to put up over 800 yards in that offense, which was very, very.
What offense?
Yeah, no offense. Matt Patricia was coordinating that offense. That is unacceptable on all levels.
That's a good point by you. That's a good point. That was a very terrible offense. What we said, what offense? Jacoby Myers definitely put those numbers up. Yards per catch I saw were pretty decent as well. So. That might be a bad thing.
So who gets it now? Bill O'Brien's there now, right?
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah.
That's kind of recycling the same guy, but at least Bill O'Brien has a track record as an offensive
Just
mind.
don't let him
and
do any trades.
Just don't let him be the GM, right? He's has a track record both as an OC and as a head coach for many, many years with the Texans. I find it nice that DJ Chark is on this list because DJ Chark, to me, he was a bit of a mixed bag in Detroit. Obviously, he missed a lot of time with injury, which was a concern, unfortunately, and that he missed 6 games. But towards the end of the season, we watched those games. DJ Chark was a tremendous factor. He had over 90 receiving yards in 3 games. He was the deep threat for Jared Goff, and Jared Goff hit him on a couple of big plays. So his numbers at the end of the year are not going to look eye-popping. He only had 502 receiving yards, but that was in 11 games.
Yeah.
And he did
all at the end.
Yes, and he did get better as the season went on. So if you're,
I think you could get a deal out of that.
I don't know if I would do it if I'm the Lions, but if you're a team that needs a receiver, I mean, DJ Chark, he does have an 1,000-yard season in this league. He's a big body. He's fast. I love seeing him on this list because it shows that he at least produced something that he's that highly thought of.
Another one of Goff's friends is out there, too, and KB reminded me of that, Ken Brown. It's Robert Woods. He was released today from the Tennessee Titans. So a former Ram. Now, who knows? Maybe they could, have it together again.
Before we get to him, I want to go back to DJ Chark. If you're Brad Holmes and we're giving you all this credit to be a good GM or a great GM right now, you're going to be able to sit DJ Chark down and explain to him a couple things. Last year we paid you $8 million based off your Pro Bowl a year ago. 2 years ago, we played you off that. You got hurt the year before with the Jacksonville Jaguars before we bought you in. We bought you in. You looked okay. You got hurt here. You know what I'm saying? You played well at the end, but not enough to where people are looking at your stats like, yeah, this is – and I actually got to correct myself. Not to the tune of $13 million. Not to the tune of what we're talking. He's going to be to the tune of $11 million. Like, if I'm Brad Holmes and I'm talking to DJ Chark has to be real to himself. You've been hurt 2 out of the last 2 years. Like, your numbers are dropping down. You're not getting any younger. Like, you better take this 11.5 or this 12, because I'll pay him at $12 million for 3 years.
Do you think
get rid of him right as we got to pay Jameson Williams?
I mean, do you think that some team will overpay for a DJ Chark? That's the thing that I'm worried about. I wouldn't go super high. And to me, will Jameson Williams take a lot of the targets that DJ Chark had? I mean, I know we all expect Jameson Williams to develop into, I mean, he was drafted to be a star receiver, and he had to watch Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave have 1,000-yard seasons the past season while Jameson Williams was injured, and we all acknowledge that Jameson Williams just has one of those qualities that he has stupid speed, like almost Tyreek Hill level speed. So I don't know if DJ Chark is necessarily needed, but I do understand what you're saying if you can get him for cheap, and DJ Chark towards the end really came on, and he was a big help for this team. They don't win some of those games, at least as comfortably, without a DJ Chark.
I just like having 3 wide receivers. I think
fair.
You play in the NFL today, especially you're going to be passing under Ben Johnson's offense. They're a passing offense.
Yeah.
They use the pass to set up the run. You got to have 3 wideouts. Jameson Williams is still figuring out. He's going to be great. Like, I think the training wheels are going to come off before the season starts, to be honest. I think they come off before the season starts. Amon-Ra Brown, he'll be the slot guy. He'll be the number 2 wide receiver. I just think in this day and age, you look at the teams that have success, the teams that went the highest level, they have 3 to 4 wide receivers, and you got to have 3 to 4, at least 3.
And that's fair. And I think we can all agree that this list, it's a little meh.
It's weak.
It is weak. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, I will give him this. He did basically what he was supposed to do, which is resurrect your career with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. He had over 900 yards, and he made a lot of big plays in the Super Bowl. That was his best season since that 1,000-yard year in Pittsburgh. And then I know we mentioned Robert Woods earlier. Robert Woods is one that has obviously had a lot of success in the NFL with the Rams.
He's coming off 2 injuries, man.
Coming off 2 injuries, but also he had bad numbers last year. Let's just call a spade a spade. But you also have to, he paid the tax of having Malik Willis and Josh Dobbs as his quarterback in a pretty significant amount of their game. So he's another one that's had some...
Don't forget, Josh Reynolds is still on the team.
Josh Reynolds is still on the team and signed and cheap, and so is Khalif Raymond, by the way. And Khalif Raymond was another one who...
He had some good plays.
He did. He had a punt return for a touchdown, over 600 receiving yards. I think we all agree, though, that this offense is a strength of their team, and it should get better next year and remain a strength.
Maybe they'll draft another kid one of the late rounds. Maybe they'll find a gem out there still. You don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned the draft, because you teased a mock draft earlier,
Yeah.
and there is a very interesting name at number 1, and there's a very interesting name for the Lions at number 6, and I dug even deeper at 18, and I think it's pretty polarizing, but we'll talk about that next. But first, I got to tell you about Custom Health Centers. Get your customized approach to weight loss. Think of all the ways that weight affects your health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Custom Health Centers is blessed to have had over 20,000 success stories. It has been our honor to help many professional athletes lose weight and improve their health. People like Detroit Lion Eddie Murray and Detroit Piston Rick Mahorn. Start losing weight today. Call Dr. Jason and Custom Health at 844-789-8446. That's 844-789-THIN.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full-line merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed-out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper! Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for Ryan Ermanni. This is Braylon Edwards. We also have Tom Mazawey in the Maz chair. We got JB Smooth in the sound booth, and our man Fletch on the 1s and 2s. So one of the great things about the NFL offseason are these mock drafts, and they're very polarizing. I don't think anybody really agrees, and nobody gets it 100% right, but we all have opinions. And CBS Sports just came out with one. It has Anthony Richardson, Florida quarterback, going number 1 to the Indianapolis Colts. I know Braylon has a lot to say about that, and so will Maz. But you know what?
Hey, Rich.
You know what? I'm going to start with Tom Mazawey because I think he's a little bit more understanding of why they would do this. So, Tom Mazawey, how does it feel to see Anthony Richardson mocked number 1 overall?
I don't like it. I don't think he's the number 1 guy. But what have we been telling you for months now? We got our boss here, Chad Johnson, and down in Florida, and knows a lot of people. And hears a lot of things. And has been saying the Lions have been all over this guy. They have not missed a game that he has played. They have been at every single game. They're watching him. But again, it's smoke screens too. There's a lot of stuff going on. You're never going to know what's going to happen. You do know this. Quarterbacks are a hot commodity. And we've been telling you, Ryan and I especially, we went down the tubes last year with Malik Willis. But we say you still got to draft your quarterback. You got to find your quarterback. I know we have Jared Goff, 27 years old, former number 1 pick, had a great year last year, and really did a fantastic job. But you got to look at him and say, is that going to be your guy for the future? I don't know. It's all depending on how you want to look at your football player, how you want to look at your quarterback. But you know how teams win. They win by drafting first-round quarterbacks and not having to pay them for 5 years. The Giants, they didn't want to pay Daniel Jones and pick up his option for year 5. He's going to be a free agent. I hear rumors they're not going to even sign him now. He might go to the Jets. That would be a complete shock in New York if he actually skipped over and went to the other locker room at Giant Stadium or MetLife Stadium. But getting back to Anthony Richardson, this kid is definitely coming up. He's shooting up. He's talented. He's big. He's strong. And he doesn't have to play right away if he's drafted here in Detroit. But to go up to number 1, man, there's so many things that could happen. And are the Bears really going to roll the dice and trade down to number 4 because they want their guy? They want either Jalen Hurts or they want Will Anderson. So let's just say Will Anderson's there at 4. if he's there. Who's picking at 3, Sam? Who
it's
picks
the
at
Arizona
3?
Cardinals.
Okay, you know what I'm doing? If I'm the Lions, I'm calling the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to jump the Bears and take one of the 2 defensive guys that are there. Because the only way I'm picking defense with that pick is if those 2 guys, one of them is left. Other than that, I'm taking my quarterback.
Yeah, those are obviously Jalen Carter and Will Anderson, the 2 I would say can't miss prospects in this draft. And Braylon, I know you have a lot to say about Anthony Richardson being mocked as the number 1 overall pick. I'm just going to give you the floor, man.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing when we are recruiting and we are scouting college players? Why are we ignoring the fact that Bryce Young won the Heisman 2 years ago and won the national championship 2 years ago and could have won the national championship and the Heisman again if he could have had one more player on his team? He is a special quarterback. We legitimately did a show 2 years ago, Maz. You were a part of it. We had Brady Quinn on, and Brady Quinn told us Bryce Young was the best next thing. He's going to win 2 Heisman trophies, 2 national championships, and he's going to get drafted first round. Brady told us that 2 years ago, and guess what? Nothing has changed. He's the best quarterback in the draft. Don't give me the small stuff. Don't give me the small stuff. The man knows how to get out of trouble. The man knows how to get the ball downfield. Last time I checked, Russell Wilson wasn't the biggest guy. No. Kyler Murray's not the biggest guy. And they didn't have near the amount of success that he had in the hardest division for the best team in the last 20 years, or however long they're going and counting. I don't understand how we go from that to Anthony Richardson, who completion percentage is not the best. Yards per an attempt, not the best. Turnovers, something to think about. Not the best. Reading at coverage, looking, always escapes, runs early, makes poor decisions. Yeah, Florida's not the best, but they're still Florida. I know if I saw a guy on that team that was about that life or was cooking with grease, I would instantly look and say, okay, that's Florida, but he's probably good. Don't see that out of Anthony Richardson. Don't see that out of Will Levis either. Don't see that out of Will Levis, even with C.J. Stroud. If you don't like C.J. Stroud, that's fine. But at least I saw enough out of him in college to rank him the number 2 quarterback.
I'm with you.
Under Bryce Young. I don't get this, and I understand this is Chad's guy. This is a lot of people's guy, but I don't understand, man. Like, I saw what I saw. You got to win at the college level. When you come in the NFL, you got to already feel comfortable to a certain extent. You don't, like, Deshaun Watson, they didn't want to pick him in the top 10. Yeah, I'm just saying, history will repeat itself with this pick right here. Bryce Young's your guy. Anthony Richardson, maybe he's a later first-round pick.
If this mock draft lays out the way it is, and that's crazy, Jim Irsay jumping to the number 1 spot, don't forget that. That's the wild card. If Jim Irsay likes you, he's going to jump up and get you. So if he likes Will Levis, he'll jump up and get Will Levis. But if it lays like that, and let's put it up again, Fletch, look who's behind the Lions pick at number 9. There's no way I'm letting C.J. Stroud get away from me if he falls to me at number 6. No freaking way.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, we talked about C.J. Stroud a bit yesterday, me and Braylon, and I agree that C.J. Stroud is the second best quarterback prospect in this draft, and I wouldn't hate it if the Lions took a chance on him. But I got something to say about Anthony Richardson as well, at being mocked at number 1. As a prospect,
he's a specimen.
I'm not gonna lie. As a prospect, what I've seen from him in college, I don't want to say hate. I strongly dislike the Anthony Richardson hype. I think a lot of NFL GMs are trying to recreate the Josh Allen situation, because Josh Allen obviously has worked out and became one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he was another one who had all the talent in the world, the size, arm strength, mobility. He's one of the best running quarterbacks in the league. But in college at Wyoming, he was a 56% completion percentage guy and just wasn't really productive, but obviously went to the Bills, played with Brian Daboll as his offensive coordinator, developed, and once he got Stephon Diggs, it was pretty much over. Josh Allen has been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL since. But with Anthony Richardson, he's not the physical alien that a Josh Allen is. I think he's once in a generation in terms of tools and sort of size and arm strength and everything. And at some point, don't you have to produce in college? I know, Braylon, you're big about winning in college, and the Florida was 6-6. To me, it's not even as much about winning in college, it's about producing in college. His completion percentage this past season was 53.8%. And to me, usually if you're not accurate in college, it doesn't bode well for you in the NFL. He had 4 games in which he completed less than 50% of his passes. In the quarterback duel from hell, in my opinion, when Anthony Richardson went up against Will Levis in that game. Anthony Richardson.
That was all you needed to watch.
Well, Anthony Richardson actually got the worst of it. 14 of 35. 14 of 35, 2 interceptions. And in that game against Florida State to end the year, he was a paltry 9 of 27 for 33%.
But he's number one guy right now.
I don't understand.
Get the hell out of here.
And here's the thing.
You should do your own mock draft.
I should. He wouldn't be top one. He wouldn't be
know that Anthony Richardson is the type of guy who is going to test off the charts at the combine because he does have the rocket arm. He is ultra athletic. He has great size. So
how many Florida quarterbacks are we going to be fooled by? Whether it's Felipe Franks, whether it's Anthony Richardson, whether it was a quarterback. Who's the guy who got drafted last year in the second round?
Kyle Trask.
That's another one. That's 3 guys. Every year Florida has this quarterback that, hey, this is the one. 6'3", rocket launcher arm. He's 235. He can run. He has vision. And then we get the same stats. We get the same numbers. We get underwhelmed. It's the same thing with Florida. They either have a terrible quarterbacks coach or they don't know what they're doing in recruiting these quarterbacks.
Yeah, what quarterback was that, Trask?
Yeah, Kyle Trask.
Who took him?
It was Tampa, I believe.
And he hasn't played.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Well, because Tom's the quarterback, but Kyle Trask isn't that good. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Because if they stick with him, which when you draft somebody in the second round, you're pretty much saying, we didn't like you in the first to be the guy, but we like you to be the guy.
Jalen Hurts was a 2.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts was only a 2 because he was – anyway.
It's going to cost Philly some money now because he's a 2.
Oh, yeah.
Because they would have had him on a 5th-year option. Now they got to pay him.
Yeah, but speaking of Kyle Trask, at least Kyle Trask produced in college.
True.
He had a monster season in 2020. And Felipe Franks, I mean, I would argue that Felipe Franks was better than Anthony Richardson in college, but neither of them were anything to write home about.
Yeah.
I've never understood the Anthony Richardson hype, and especially as the number 1 overall pick. I think he's the type of guy that, unfortunately, can get your GM fired because his floor, Anthony Richardson, his floor is Achilles Smith, Ryan Leaf. That's Jamarcus Russell.
Listen, he can get your owner fired. Like, this is a pick that can get your owner fired. Let's be honest, he's a pick to get your owner fired. When you look at, let's say you have the number 1 pick in the draft, Flannel and Mass, you have the number 1 pick in the draft. And you take a guy, Anthony Richardson, who you've watched his scouting film, you watch his film, you watch where he's been, you've seen his progression, which hasn't been that good. You pass up on a guy that won the Heisman Trophy in Bryce Young. You pass up on a guy in Jalen Carter, who everybody says is the number 1 prospect. You pass up on Will Anderson, who last year they say he could have been the first one. You pass up on all these guys. You pass up on these guys in draft. Anthony Richardson, man, get out of here. Fired, everybody.
And if you're going to the Colts, aren't you expected to play right away? I mean, Matt Ryan, is he going to be there? Probably not. No. Is Sam Ehlinger?
No.
Who's going to play quarterback for the next Anthony Richardson? And Anthony Richardson.
There's free agent QBs out there
still. There are free agent QBs, but
he doesn't have to play for a couple of years.
No, he does. Yes, he does, because this is Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay, Peyton Manning, first game of the season, he was in there.
Yeah, I guess
Andrew Luck, first game of the season, he was in there.
I take that back.
Whoever Irsay is drafting, that joker's going to be in there week 1, man.
Oh, my goodness.
He's going to be in there week 1.
They got a decent line. They got a decent team.
Their defense is aging a little bit, but their defense is still good.
It ain't a bad team to be drafted by. It's better than being drafted by, let's just say the Saints or the Falcons right now, or even someone worse than that. The Falcons actually were in every damn game. I mean, there's terrible teams out there. I mean, to get drafted by the Colts is not the worst deal for these quarterbacks.
Yeah, you got Quentin Nelson at guard and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield and a guy like Darius Leonard on defense. They've got pieces. It's just when you said yes, Michael Pittman. When you said Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, Anthony Richardson, if this happens, who
doesn't fit?
One of these things is not like the others.
Who doesn't fit?
Peyton Manning, generational prospect.
2 truths and a lie.
Yes, Andrew Luck, super generational prospect, is one of the best quarterback prospects ever. And then Anthony Richardson, he would join the fraternity of Indianapolis Colts quarterback who the Indianapolis Colts pick number 1 at quarterback.
Jeff George.
Oh, Jeff George.
Jeff George.
Hey, Jeff George is another one, and Jeff George didn't work out either. But the last two, Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, certainly did, and they were way more pro-ready and polished, and obviously turned out well in Indianapolis. I don't agree at all with Anthony Richardson, all the hype. I wouldn't touch him in any round.
It just shows you how quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they're the talk,
up.
man.
They rise up.
They're the talk.
Here's a question. I know we're about to go to commercial in a minute or two. It's a quick one. Where is this coming from? Like, how do these guys boost up the charts?
Well, you said it. You have your way.
Because it's not working out right now.
Who's getting paid? Who's paying to pump up people?
Who's sliding somebody some cash on the table? Hey, man, talk about my guy. Get my guy out there. Because that stuff works. Because if he stays, now he's the number 1 slot right now. If he doesn't perform well, like, he's not dropping from number 1 to 4th round. But if you're starting in the 2nd round and you don't work out well, now you slide a little further down.
Hey, get my guy. I need a few. Get me in the top 20 here. Get my guy in the top 20.
For the right price, I can get you lottery.
There you go.
You know what? I actually think there is a little bit of a reason for this, and that's because there is no real perfect quarterback prospect in the draft. I believe if Bryce Young were 6'3", 215, 220, he might be looked at the same way Trevor Lawrence or Andrew Luck was. And C.J. Stroud, obviously one of his knocks was playing with all those great receivers and not really showing up.
But guess what he's going to be, Sam? He's going to have great receivers again.
And that is true, but he didn't show up in the game at Michigan, although he more than redeemed himself against Georgia playing a great game. And Will Levis
that guy's got it. That kid got it.
I like C.J. Stroud, but Will Levis, he's another one. He's all size, all sort of measurables, but no production in
so is Josh
college.
Rosen.
Now, is he going to go to the is he going to participate in the combine?
I mean, I would
Will
say
Levis?
So.
I don't think he is.
He said no.
Really?
He said he wasn't.
He might change his mind, but I don't think so.
If I'm him, I'm not. Like, if I'm Will Levis and I've gotten this far of nothing, and I've seen drafts as far as me 1, and I haven't seen me past 6, why am I working out at Pro Day? I mean, at Combine, where everything is on
how much higher could he go, right?
Which is what the NFL wants to do, which is what the NFL has me on their clock, their schedule, this, that, and the third. Why wouldn't I go to my Pro Day and control my own workout?
And that's fair, because I think Will Levis is another one that's going to
work out at the Combine.
He's going to show out at his Pro Day because he has so many of the measurables. Coming up next, we're going to talk about who the Lions actually have mocked to, who they have mocked to the Lions in this draft. We had so much talk about Anthony Richardson. We had to get all of our feelings out that we didn't have time for the Lions, so we will do that next. But first, I got to tell you about Fairway. Looking for a way to elevate dinner? Choose Fairway Packing Company, family owned and operated since 1956. Try their burrata blend burgers, award-winning chop house steaks, or impress your friends with a dry-aged Wagyu tomahawk steak. See why the top chefs in the country choose Fairway. Visit their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods or order online to ship anywhere. Visit fairwaypacking.com for more details. Fairway Packing Company, sourced, cut, aged, packed to perfection.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Swiss Insurance Group and their employees are heavily involved in their community. It is very rewarding, but it comes with great responsibility. If you sit on a local youth sports board, homeowners association, or you volunteer as a coach, directors insurance and office insurance is a must. Make sure the kids, the parents, and the volunteers are protected with Swiss Insurance Group.
Welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Ryan Ermanni. As you can see, Adam Baydoun from the morning show has invaded the studio and is harassing Tom Mazawey, but that's okay. We still have him on the show. And we have Braylon Edwards, JB Smooth on the ones and twos, and Fletch in the TD booth doing a great job as always. So that CBS Sports mock draft, it obviously had Anthony Richardson going number 1 overall to the Indianapolis Colts. But we didn't get a chance to talk about who it has mocked to the Lions at number 6 overall. I
don't even want you to bring it up.
Don't you want me to bring it up?
No.
It has the Detroit Lions picking Illinois cornerback Devon Witherspoon with the 6th overall pick.
Did you say Deion Sanders?
No, I did not say Deion Sanders.
I don't want to hear it.
Didn't even see Sauce Gardner or even Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
I see Devon Witherspoon. So Maz, you're already starting in on it. You obviously don't like this.
No, I don't want a cornerback. I'm sorry. I'm not putting the number 6 pick on a cornerback like I'm not doing a number 6 pick on a tight end. I think they've got the tight end situation handled. I like the 3 guys that they have right now. If there's a stud that happens to fall their way and he's affordable, fine. But who are you going to replace? Nonetheless, a cornerback. I am not going down that road again, especially with a Big Ten kid. You know, Illinois was okay. They played pretty hard. They played over their head, I think. But there's no freaking way I'm taking this kid when we already saw what road we went down a few years ago with Jeff Okudah. Now, Jeff obviously had bad luck. The Achilles went on him. That's bad luck. And he had bad coaching and management his first year. That's not the kid's fault. There's no way I'm taking a Big Ten cornerback. Who are they playing against? Who did Illinois really beat? Why is this kid the number 1 guy, Christian Gonzalez, and all? I don't want a cornerback at number 6. I'll take him and a free agent, like we talked. There's plenty of free agents out there that you could fill your defensive backfield with. I'm not rolling the dice with the 6th pick on a cornerback.
I'm with Maz on that. I'm not taking the 6 picks, especially in this draft. Now, I'm not on that because of Jeff Okudah in the past. I'm not worried about it from that angle because I believe that if there's a guy there, if there's a draft where you have some guys you see are stud, lockdown cornerbacks, they're guys that are going to shut things down. Like Sauce Gardner is one of those guys. I think last year we knew enough about Sauce going into that draft to know that he was going to be this good. But that guy's not in this draft, and so that's why I agree with Maz. I'm not taking Witherspoon. I'm not taking Gonzalez. I'm not taking Joey Porter Jr. I'm not taking those guys at 6. The Detroit Lions, if they were to take Witherspoon at 6, when those things are behind him, whether it's Tyree Wilson, whether it's C.J. Stroud, whether it's moving back in the draft, once again, Brad Holmes has done his thing, so I'll have to hold my tongue and see how it will play out. But I definitely would be ready to talk some stuff if it didn't work, because I don't think it would work.
If that CBS thing lays out like it does, I'm going to go back to it again, and C.J. Stroud's there, and you don't want him, well, you better damn trade with a team like Carolina to come up and get him. Or somebody. They got Baltimore taking him. How did Baltimore get up there? They traded to get up there?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, you got to make a move then. There's no way you're sitting at 6 with C.J. Stroud sitting behind you, waiting for teams to pick him. Don't be foolish. And I know they won't be. I'm just yelling because it gets under my skin. Don't be foolish.
This is a mock draft, so you got to give a mock argument.
Exactly.
You're giving a mock
Don't
argument.
be foolish.
There's nothing wrong
if
with
there's
that.
a quarterback there and you really don't want him, someone does.
Someone absolutely does, especially if it's a guy like C.J. Stroud, who, whether you like him or not, at least he was ultra productive in college. We actually went over another mock draft. I believe it was when I was in with Ryan Ermanni, the 33rd mate, in which the Lions did trade out of that 6th pick, moved to 11, and got Christian Gonzalez at 11. To me, that's easier to stomach than, say, in addition to getting another 2nd-round pick. That's a lot easier to stomach than Devon Witherspoon at 6. And as a player, I don't even dislike Devon Witherspoon. I think that he's one of the best cornerback prospects in this draft. He's a great cover guy. He's got good size. You can see that he lays the wood. Like, he can, and he's physical. But he's also going in the Big Ten where there aren't a ton of good quarterbacks. He hasn't had a lot of competition. And at number 6, I just don't like that for a corner. I mean, this mock draft has them passing on Tyree Wilson at 7, who I would rather have the Lions take, and another edge rusher, a big edge rusher. And it even has them passing on interior lineman Kalijah Cansey, who is a little bit undersized, but he was productive, and he's an interior defensive lineman, which at 9 I think is a better, or at 6 would be a better value than a corner at 6. I think the Lions, if they want a corner, they could either get it addressed in free agency, or maybe a guy at 18 like Emmanuel Forbes or Keely Ringo or Cam Smith are available. I don't think Devon Witherspoon is that much better or better at all than any of those guys. I think it's kind of there's a lot of very, very good corner prospects, but none that are great like a Sauce Gardner was last year.
Yeah, if Brad Holmes found Kirby last year, maybe I trust him to find somebody this year. You can look at it that way too.
Yeah, keep Keely Ringo in mind. Keely Ringo is a guy that I've seen as low as pick 38. Like I've seen him at pick 38, and I've seen him as high as pick 16. So keep Keely Ringo in mind. Yeah. I think that's somebody. He's from that Georgia team. You know how good that defense was. He's a big guy too, by the way. He's a 6'2" guy that runs 4.3, or is projected to run 4.3. So if that's his true size and measurables, I look forward to something like that. Brad making a move like that later in the first round, or maybe early in the second.
Yeah, before that Ohio State game, I saw in which the Georgia secondary got torched. I saw Keely Ringo mocked as high as the top 10 pick. He's another one that's fallen precipitously, but I wouldn't hate it if the Lions got him at, say, 18, but certainly no corner at 6. I got to get JB's input on this one because I know he's a draft junkie. What would your reaction be if the Detroit Lions picked Devon Witherspoon or Devon at number 6?
I think that's too early for a cornerback. I have to agree with Maz on this one. I think there's way better options out there. If they wanted to trade back and maybe get that 10 or 11 spot, then okay, I can see drafting a cornerback right there. But then again, I would still go for Christian Gonzalez over Devon Witherspoon, to be honest with you. And to go back to that CBS draft, Maz, for the Ravens to get that 8th pick, they actually had to trade Lamar Jackson to the Falcons.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
There you go. Hey. That changes that up a little bit.
It does.
Yeah, that mock draft is pretty intricate. I like the ones where they have all these hypothetical trades. It's not just one where everybody...
I love that.
Right.
That's what you play fantasy football for. So it's kind of like fantasy football.
I'm excited. People have been talking about that for a second. The whole Lamar Jackson to the Falcons. Ryan's been talking about that for a while. They've been talking about it for a while. When I say they, the proverbial they. That would be interesting. The reason why I say it's interesting, I think the AFC South needs to shake up in talent. The AFC South need to shake up in some quarterbacks, like some starting talent quarterbacks, some guys in that top tier, maybe tier 2, guys like Lamar Jackson who floats between tier 1 and tier 2. Maybe Derek Carr goes down there who's a tier 2, tier 3 guy. But I think you need some more energy in that division. That conference. Tom's gone. Drew Brees is gone. Carolina, everybody from there is gone. You need some energy and some lifeblood down there. Spice it up, switch it up, shake it up.
Yeah, and honestly, Lamar Jackson with the Falcons, I like that too. And if the Ravens can trade Lamar Jackson and somehow end up with C.J. Stroud in the draft, you'd be getting him on a rookie deal. I don't necessarily hate it.
Kyle Pitts, Drake London,
Algier in the background.
All they need is wide receivers.
Got Drake London from last year, and then you can add some short. Hey.
I was talking about Baltimore.
That's true. Because the Falcons, speaking of people whose production was hurt by poor quarterback play, Drake London could have had the same numbers as a Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave, who they didn't play with great quarterbacks either, but he had Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder for Drake London. He was obviously very good.
Who do they have the Lions taking at 18?
Had to drop him off my fantasy.
Ooh, you know what? Let's get back to let's tease that one because it's one that I think will make Maz's head explode, and it's definitely one where I think there's going to be a lot of disagreement. I'd like to get all of your guys' input, including JB, when we get back. But first, if the Lions pick that number 18 guy, who we will not tell you about yet, who are you going to need to call when you're pounding the table?
Yeah, SMA, the sports marketing agency. They help spread awareness about mental health as well as substance use disorder. Their podcast is the S word. S word stands for stigma because we are trying to destigmatize mental health in the community. When you're in trouble, when you don't have anywhere to go, when you are not okay, that's okay. But where do you go to get the information? You got to go to thesportsma.com.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Hey, it's Maz for Cousins Maine Lobster, and the Cousins Maine Lobster food truck right now is up for Food Truck of the Year. Make sure you go vote for them at freep.com. And freak.com, Best of Detroit. Follow them on Facebook.com/CML Detroit. That's for Cousins Maine Lobster Detroit. For your chance to win a $300 Visa gift card if they bring home first prize. That's right, the best food truck, the best seafood. You would think you're in Maine and New England eating this seafood, this lobster, but you're right here in Detroit. Make sure you try Cousins Maine Lobster today. Scan that QR code, find out where they'll be next, and tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
And welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for Ryan Ermanni. We also got Braylon Edwards. Tom Mazawey is back today. We got JB Smooth in the sound booth, and Fletch on the ones and twos, doing a great job as always. Fletch, you and JB, of course, as always. We teased it before the break. This same CBS Sports mock draft, which has Anthony Richardson going #1 overall to the Indianapolis Colts, and has the Detroit Lions picking cornerback from Illinois, Devon Witherspoon, at number 6. At number 18, it has the Detroit Lions selecting tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, that's just what the Detroit fans need. Another tight end to drive them crazy for a whole 2, 3, 4 years. Eric Ebron, the name ring a bell?
Which would be their 4th first-round tight end that I can remember, along with Brandon Pettigrew, Eric Ebron, TJ Hawkinson. And
just to name a few.
Just to name a few. And this one would
Can I
be
make
Michael.
a prediction?
Make a prediction.
I'm going to make a guarantee.
Okay.
That will never happen.
And
Never.
Just like that, with the 18th pick in the 2023 draft, the Detroit Lions select tight end out of Notre Dame. Look, he's good. He's a damn good tight end.
He's good.
Like, he's damn good. He's probably the best tight end in the country this year, statistically wise. Obviously, we know Brock Bowers is, but like we talked about, the way this offense was, you watched last year, okay? The way the offense was, they didn't need a guy that had, 1,100. And 10 touchdowns. They didn't need a guy that was out there. They didn't need that type of player. They didn't need Travis Kelce. They didn't need George Kittle. They didn't need those guys because they are by committee tight end situations. When you needed a guy in the red zone, here's Zylstra. When you need a guy for a touchdown at the end of the Jets game, here's Brock Wright. When you need a guy in James Mitchell, who's a young guy trying to figure it out, he makes a play that keeps you interested after his first catch in the NFL. So I just don't think you need him at that pick, even though it's not pick 6, it's not moving back to pick 11, it is 18. I just don't think you need that guy because you didn't look like you need that guy last year.
Go ahead, Mass.
Was the Texas running back Bijan Robinson taken yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay, you're going to pass on him for Mayer?
Michael Mayer.
I mean,
I don't think I should ever read another CBS article.
He's good.
No. I like the way you broke that down, Braylon, because nobody is saying that Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and James Mitchell are better than TJ Hawkinson was, but the Lions didn't really need that tight end who Jared Goff had to force feed the ball to. Brock Wright and Shane Zylstra and James Mitchell, they all contributed. They scored touchdowns. Brock Wright had one of the biggest plays of the season, arguably the biggest offensive play of the season, on that game-winning 51-yard reception in which he ran most of it. So,
I mean, look at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, they got rid of Uzomah. Uzomah was a pretty good tight end for them 2 years ago when they made the Super Bowl. They let him walk, and they had average tight ends. And they let Uzomah walk to the Jets. But you know why they let him walk? It's because they had decent tight ends, but they had T. Higgins, they got Jamar Chase, and they got Tyler Boyd. Detroit Lions are similar in that.
Yeah.
They got tight ends that are serviceable, but you got this guy in Jameson Williams you're going to expect to be a lot. You've got proven production out of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if you choose to bring a DJ Chark back or something like that, you don't need a Michael Mayer. Or, excuse me, Michael Mayer.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the most reliable safety blankets in the NFL. He's Jared Goff's favorite target, and they obviously have a chemistry that is, they're one of the best quarterback to wide receiver duos in the NFL right now, at least productivity-wise. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown...
I think it slowed down in the second half, though, of the year.
Yeah, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, he missed one game and he missed most of another one, but he had over 100 catches and 1,100 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a star in this league, and he runs a lot of those shorter and intermediate routes, and when Jared Goff needs a play, needs a critical third down or a red zone completion, he goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's a lot of times what you need a tight end for, like Lamar Jackson did with Mark Andrews, even Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and that's kind of what George Kittle was for whoever was playing quarterback with the 49ers, whether it be a Brock Purdy or a Jimmy Garoppolo. And the thing is, I kind of agree with both of you guys. I like Michael Mayer a lot. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. I think he's one of the best college tight ends that I've personally ever seen. He had over 800 yards 2 seasons in a row. He has a lot of RC Cola, Rob Gronkowski sort of. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got great hands, he's got pretty much everything you want in a tight end. But if this draft plays out, if this first round plays out like CBS Sports has it playing out, they don't address the interior defense at all. They don't get an offensive player. They don't solidify their offensive line. They get a corner, which is a need, but at number 6, which is not a great value historically, and they get a tight end, which is...
I'm not here for it.
It should be lower on the priority list if you're Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions, which is why, as Maz said, I will pass out if it happens. Tom Mazawey, I would love to be there if you were to, if that were to happen, to see your reaction. Would you be just pounding the table?
My God.
I'm not here for it. And the reason why I'm not here for it is when you look at the Detroit Lions, how the season played out from start to finish, how the playoffs played out for everybody else, and you look at where the Detroit Lions fell short. Well, that was defense. Where the Detroit Lions are good, well, there's offense. You have there's certain positions we have. When you look at all that and you're looking at what they could potentially do, when you're telling us, you know what, I see them exceeding expectations. I see them winning 2 playoff games. I see them winning a playoff game. Well, if this is what you see, then you have to assess assertively. And it's not getting Michael Mayer with 18th pick. It's not drafting that cornerback Witherspoon, who I'm not solely high on his talent, at 6 overall. That's not winning football to me, based on what I saw the Lions do from week 1 to week 19. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you don't need a Michael Mayer this year for this team, especially when you look at the totality of the season.
Is he the player that's getting you to the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not. And like I mean, I'm not for just letting the offense stay pat. If there's an offensive player that's worthy of being drafted for the Detroit Lions anywhere in the draft, but especially in the first or second round and all those picks that they have, I say go all for it. But we all know when it comes to the totality of the season, it was the defense that was the weaker unit. And with the first round, you have an opportunity with some good prospects to maybe draft two more starters on defense, like a starting interior lineman and maybe a starting corner at 18. Who knows where you could go, or even if a wide receiver is available.
Sam, hold on. Wouldn't you rather have... You already got like 5 rookies on defense that you like.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather plug in some pros, some good free agents? There's a lot of good free agents out there. There's 2 in the secondary for the Eagles that are going to be free agents. And Gardner Johnson and James Bradbury. I'm not saying take them both. I'm not saying I would love a guy like C.J. Gardner Johnson in my backfield somewhere. Put him somewhere. I think you find room for him. Tracy Walker's coming off an Achilles. You don't know what he's going to get. There's guys on the defensive line that are going to be available. There's linebackers that are going to be available. Don't you want to mix it in with some of these guys, or you want to keep rolling the dice and hoping that Brad Holmes rolls a 7 or 11?
Well, of course you'd like to dip your toe in free agency. And the Lions, their cap situation, it's okay as of now, but it can be made a lot better if you cut Michael Brockers, Vaitai, and Romeo Okwara. You could save $24 million.
That's going to happen.
And nobody would be mad at those players getting cut. So, yeah, if you wanted to add like a guy from Philadelphia, like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson or a Bradbury, even a Jalen Ramsey in a trade, or a Tremaine Edmonds from the Buffalo Bills, or a Deron Payne, he's going to be pretty expensive. But a guy like that, proven pros, you need veterans on this team. I think we all agree that no matter what, whether it's through the draft, whether it's through free agency, I think a mixture of both, you have to solidify this defense and keep making it better and get better players, because that ultimately is their pathway to taking the next step, being from going from a 9-win team that barely misses out to a division champion. But offensively, you can't just assume that it's going to be top 5 again. But I think with everything coming back, you got to solidify that defense.
Got to get the defense right. I mean, at the end of the day, the defense is what you need to get right. Defense was the weak point last year. I mean, if you didn't have that defense that week last year, the Detroit Lions might have been in the playoffs. In fact, they would have been in the playoffs. So, got to shore it up. But we talked about that yesterday, Sam. We talked about going to get free agents. I mean, in terms of DBs, maybe making a move for Jalen Ramsey, maybe not taking Bradbury, but definitely liking C.J. Gardner-Johnson as well. So, definitely can do it through free agency, but want to do a mixture of both. There's some free agents out there that I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on. You know, Ryan Ermanni loves Levante David, putting him in linebacker. Yeah. Maz and I are of the mind that, Devon Bush is a guy, some tread left on that tires, wouldn't be expensive putting him at the Mike position. So you're building through free agency as well as the draft. Definitely don't want to just do it all in draft, Sam.
Yeah, Devon Bush, that would be quite the reclamation prospect, because after having a good rookie year, he had some injuries and has kind of fallen out of the rotation a bit. But he obviously has a ton of talent. And Maz, I 100% agree. They have the opportunity in free agency to get more veterans on the defense, and that you don't want just like an elementary school on defense with a bunch of rookies and young players. That's not going to win long term. But
I want to see him spend some money, some good money this time.
Yeah, and why not? But at least it's supplemented by those great Brad Holmes draft picks that hopefully continue to be developed. Speaking of...
One last thing. Last year they weren't ready. We all said it. That's why they brought back the whole team. The team that won 3 games the year prior. They brought them up. Remember they said, we're bringing them all back. We're running them back again.
3-13-1.
They're ready now. So you got to shop. Yep. You've got to go shopping this year.
Yeah.
They've got the ammunition to do it too, which is great, which is something they haven't had in the past couple of years. So the Lions, go for it. I would encourage that for sure. Coming up next, there's Fox, looks like Fox College Football came up with an NFL quarterback draft rankings. I know we kind of already touched on the quarterbacks, but let's see what they have to say about that. But first, Maz, tell us about the Fulling Warehouse.
I certainly will. It's down in Hamtramck, Michigan. First of all, if you haven't been there, you don't know what you're missing. You got to get your foal on. Talk to Chris Hutt. He invented this game of football and bowling, 2 ways to play it. Very inexpensive. $12. Unlimited open play or a private lane reservation when it's all crowded. And you get your own group in there. You get your own lane for 2 hours. Runs you $120, but you can put 10 or 12 people on that lane. So less than $10 per person. Any drink you want. You want a Moscow Mule, they got it for you. Bloody Mary, whatever. Call it out. They have it for you. Of course, over 100 beers on that menu and the $2 mystery beer machine. As far as food goes, bring your own food in or have it delivered. Have a great time. Get your foal on at foldingwarehouse.com.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh, wait, it's 2 for $4. Got to double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
You're about to be shell-shocked. The catch of the day is in. Big Boy Seafood Fest is officially back. Join us for some of your favorites like our popcorn shrimp and pike perch platters and our classic fish and chips. This year, we've reeled in some fresh catches like our shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and our fish sandwich. And especially, don't forget about our all-you-can-eat Friday night fish fry buffet. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Now is the best time to join Planet Fitness. The gym that has always been known for being clean is now cleaner than ever. With tons of equipment, a full body workout, and a 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. The best part about all of this, you get it all just for $10 a month. Or Go to any convenient Planet Fitness location that they have. They have over 50 of them, so no matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness nearby. Join the club today, or you can always check them out online at planetfitness.com.
And welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Ryan Ermanni. This is Braylon Edwards. We've got Tom Mazawey in the Maz chair. JB Smooth running the sound, and Fletch in the TD booth. I want to give a shout out to Tammy Chin, one of our most loyal Woodward Sports Chat members. She's a really nice lady, a great lady. She had a little bit of a medical procedure, but she's back home and doing well. And I always love seeing her in the chat because she's one of the most positive people here and has been there pretty much since the beginning.
She's the den mother.
She is that is a perfect way to describe it. So I know I teased something.
Keeps all the inmates in check.
I teased something before, but you know what? I'm gonna do as Ross Geller from Friends said and pivot to something more. Something that relates more to what we were talking about. We were talking about Lions' potential free agent
You're a
signings.
paleontologist now?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it's going to be part of our Around the NFL segment. But first, we are going to talk about the best free agent signing ever. There are definitely a few that come to mind. One of them, who is mentioned on the graphic, Peyton Manning, was one of the best free agent signings ever. Where he ranks, that's up for debate, but he came to the Broncos and broke the touchdown record and got carried to a Super Bowl 2 years later by a great defense. The 2015 one, that was more. But the 2013 one, he actually was great.
That's the year they broke the record.
They broke the record, got killed by the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. But
12 seconds.
I was there.
You're home, man. That had to have been I was rooting for the Broncos.
I was rooting for Seattle.
Oh, you were happy.
Good.
I was rooting for the Broncos in that one. I've always been a big Peyton Manning fan. But
I'm NFC.
I am going to start with you, Tom Mazawey. What is the best free agent signing ever?
Ever is tough.
Tough. Is this coming in the 70s and 80s and the 60s?
I know.
I know it's coming.
Right, no, I'm gonna bring it up to our era.
In the Wayback Machine.
Are you ready? I'm gonna bite my tongue off while I say this name. Tom Brady was the best free agent signing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And how do you argue that? He went there and he won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Probably could have won 2 had he not run into the Rams that game. Last year, it wasn't his best year. Didn't have a lot of people around him. And he still was one of the league leaders in passing. But he won his Super Bowl for Tampa Bay. I'm not going to go back to the 80s and 90s where I really loved to play. I'm going to leave that to you, Braylon.
You know, I stayed out of the 80s and 90s too. Well, I stayed out of the 80s. I'm in the 90s. You say Tom Brady, I'm cool with that. You say he could have won 2.
I already know who you're going to say. That's why I didn't steal your guy.
No, for sure.
Because I would have easily said him.
Yo, he is, though. I appreciate it. It's Deion Sanders.
He's a hired gun.
It's Deion Sanders. Basically, Deion Sanders goes to the 49ers for 1 year, Super Bowl. Then he goes to the Dallas Cowboys for 4 years.
Super Bowl.
Not only won 2 Super Bowls, All-Pro, first-team All-Pro, 3 out of the 4 years. Second-team All-Pro the 4th year. Finished in the defensive MVP. He was 3rd 1 year. He was 5th another year. And you saw what he did to that team. And you could easily say, well, he just came over as a DB. No, he did not. He played wide receiver. He did trick plays. He was a punt returner for them. He made the Pro Bowl as a punt returner as well. And he locked down that side of the field. And that was Deion's prime. So Deion Sanders is the best free agent player of all time. All time.
You don't get no argument from
3
me.
Super Bowls in 3 years as a free agent. I'm just saying.
You know what? Deion Sanders might be the way to go because what Deion Sanders did, which was incredible for a defensive back, was he flipped the rivalry, the 49ers and Cowboys. When Deion Sanders went to the 49ers, they went to the Super Bowl and had to get past the Cowboys in order to get there. And then goes to the Cowboys win it. And Deion Sanders, he's the best cornerback of all time, at least cover corner. He just shut down half the field, and that's a good answer. But I'm going to go with somebody also from the 90s.
Give me a hint.
Brett Favre?
Defense.
Well, technically, Ken Norton Jr. did the same thing Deion did. Charles Haley did it too. Charles Haley?
Not Rod Woodson.
No.
That's an interesting one.
You guys are thinking a little bit too small. Although Rod Woodson is an all-time great, I'm going with Reggie White, of course.
Oh man,
Reggie White, one of arguably the best defensive player of all time. Definitely
the
top 5 or 10. The
Minister
of Defense. He already put together a Hall of Fame career with the Philadelphia Eagles, but in free agency, he decided to sign with Green Bay of all teams, and that was kind of a decision that was questioned at the time, but they already had Brett Favre and Sterling Sharp, and they eventually won a Super Bowl with Reggie White playing a huge role and got to another Super Bowl in which they lost with the Green Bay Packers. Reggie White had 4 10-plus sack seasons, and he won a Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think you can really go wrong with anybody that we've said, although Maz, I'm kind of disappointed that you went with Tom Brady. It makes my skin crawl.
My guy had 3 Super Bowls.
Yes.
My guy had 3.
That's a win.
That's a win, baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just,
now, Reggie was that deal because Reggie came as, obviously Brett Favre got in there in 93. I think they got him from the Falcons in 94. They had him. But when they got Reggie White, man, the Minister of Defense, it really, really, really made them like, because they, it's the Lions first in that division in 91, and they was going at it, and then slowly but surely bring him, and they changed it on his tide, so that's a good one too.
Yeah, kind of like what Deion Sanders did with whatever team he went to, whether it be the 49ers or the Cowboys in back-to-back seasons. Reggie White was that missing piece that took the Packers from a good team to a Super Bowl winning team, and that's the power of a great free agent, especially when that great free agent is one of the best defensive players of all time. I could say the same about Deion Sanders and, of course, Tom Brady. As much as I hate it, they did win the Super Bowl that first year with him at quarterback. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had a lot of talent on the roster, but that was also the season before where Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions. So all they needed was a Tom Brady to come in, and it all worked out, and they won a Super Bowl.
Randy Moss was all right. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but
yes,
he did all right skipping around.
Absolutely.
I feel like Randy Moss got traded from the Raiders to
he might be right.
to the Patriots. So. I feel like it was like a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick. It was some dirty. Maybe like a 5th round pick. I might be too low. I think it was a trade from the Raiders and the Patriots. So
yeah, speaking of Randy Moss, isn't it one of the great, to me, miracles of the NFL, and to a lot of people they don't like this, but Tom Brady and the Patriots never won a Super Bowl with Randy Moss on that team. Some of those teams were the most dominant regular season teams I'd ever see, like 2007, for example, the year where you guys, the New York Jets, upset them in the playoffs when they got guys like Rob Gronkowski. But Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady as the quarterback, even though Tom Brady has led his teams to 7. That's a statistical anomaly. And
it's because he met kryptonite.
It's not Randy Moss.
Eli.
Yeah,
Randy
Moss,
Moss,
it is certainly not Randy Moss.
Moss did what he was supposed to do in that Super Bowl, man. It was weird. Something was up. Whenever they play the Giants, it's like kind of like the Lakers and Celtics.
I told you, it's kryptonite,
it's like the luck of the Irish. It's like the luck of the Irish. The Boston. There you go. It's the luck of the dislike of the Irish. There you go.
I don't know, Maz. Was Eli the kryptonite, or was it Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan, JPP, and that?
A couple of great catches by David Tyree, Mario Manningham. But it was Eli, baby. It was Eli.
What, though. That Tyree catch, that was a little bit lucky, and some would say a poor decision by Eli.
Was dead.
But it worked out. But that Mario Manningham, that was as much a great
Probably
throw
his
as
best
it was.
throw ever.
It's one of the best throws I've ever
One
seen
of the
in
best
my
throws
life.
in NFL football for sure.
It's the best throws I've ever seen
in
in my life.
Right in the breadbasket, and Mario Manningham somehow managed to keep.
That's what we do at Michigan, man.
That's right.
So that's what we do at Michigan.
Mario Manningham may argue, Jeremy Gallen was pretty good, but the only wide receiver at Michigan who I've seen in my lifetime that can even be in a tier below you, although you were much better than even Mario Manningham was. You were a third overall pick. I believe Mario Manningham was in the 3rd round. So speaking,
Rio was fire.
No, absolutely,
Rio definitely was fire. So he was. I didn't play with Mario Manningham, but he came in a year after me. But that means I was there when they were recruiting him. So they had been recruiting him since maybe like my junior year, and they started a recruiting process on him. And he would come up there. His attitude was just different, not in a bad way. It just was like Michigan wasn't too big for him. Like he just was like, this would just be the next stop and what I do and blah blah blah.
Where was he from? Cali?
Warren Harding in Ohio. Warren Harding in Ohio, same school Claret went to.
Another Michigan great coming from the state of Ohio, which obviously we take a lot of pride in as Michigan fans, and one of the greatest Michigan athletes.
We didn't talk about Charles Woodson.
Fremont.
Yeah, Charles Woodson
free agent.
Free agent.
It's a good one from the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, he was a Defensive Player of the Year with the Packers, and he was a pivotal member of that defense when they won the Super Bowl. Charles Woodson is another great one. Well, speaking of people who are looking to sign with a team, we're going to go around the NFL again when we get back, and there's one quarterback in particular that is looking to find a home. You obviously know who it is when we say it. But first, I got to tell you about Les Stanford. Les Stanford has expanded into Ferndale, a trusted name for over 50 years. Les Stanford Buick GMC, same great service that customers have come to know. Go check them out on Woodward, just south of 9 Mile. In Dearborn, they've got the Silverado trucks in stock. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford,
find new roads.
Find them.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
At Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, why not give Alta Rental a call? They got you covered. Call them today at 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
And welcome back to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for the great Ryan Ermanni. I've got Braylon Edwards to my right, Tom Mazawey in the Maz chair, JB Smooth running the sound, and Fletch on the ones and twos. So there's a quarterback out there that just got released that needs to find a home. And that, of course, is none other than former Raiders quarterback Derek Carr. And the Jets have some high praise for a Derek Carr, which on the surface seems a little baffling, but we'll get into it.
This might be what's wrong with their scouting department and the quarterbacks that they draft. Like, if they told Derek Carr this comment, Flannel Sam, we might have undisclosed the problem that is facing the New York Jets. They can't see.
Hold on.
They can't see.
Go ahead, Sam. Read what it says, what the Jets tell him.
Yes, the Jets
then I'll explain.
Told Derek Carr he could be a first-ballot Hall of Famer if he wins in New York.
Okay. I got 2 words for you.
Matthew Stafford?
I got 4 words for you. Joe Namath. Eli Manning. Look at their numbers. Not great. They each won one Super Bowl, and Eli won 2. Joe Namath's in there because he led the Jets from the AFL to the NFL. Basically did the merger. That was him. That was the New York Jets. Sonny Werblin signed him. That was it. That's how we have our NFL now. That's why Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame. He got the guarantee. He got the win over the 19-point favorite Colts. That's why he's in. Eli Manning beat 2 Patriot teams that could have been undefeated. One of them could have been 19-0. But he stopped them. He's going to get in the Hall of Fame. You could say whatever you want, but it's a guarantee that he gets in. People yap at all these players that play in New York, and they disparage him. Oh, he's not that good. They only like him because he plays in New York. Well, that's just the way it goes. All right? That's like there's Hollywood, and then there's New York, and then there's everything else in between. If you're playing in those cities and you put on a show, you got a great opportunity to make it to your sports Hall of Fame. Derek Carr, if he wins a Super Bowl with the Jets, he could go to the Hall of Fame. If he puts up decent numbers, which he will, and wins a Super Bowl. it'll be the Jets' first Super Bowl since they joined the league. They won as an AFL team. Braylon, you keep making faces at me. Go ahead, man. Take it from here. I'm telling you, that's the way it is.
Derek Carr ain't getting in nobody's Hall of Fame. Not at all. Listen, for Derek, just let's start with the people you named. Yes, I understand Joe Namath doesn't have the numbers, but you know what he does have? Joe Namath beat Johnny Unitas, who at the time was considered the greatest quarterback of all time. Joe Namath, I repeat, told the world I was going to beat Johnny Unitas, and he beat Johnny Unitas. Now, Johnny didn't play the whole game, but when the game was over,
he beat Earl Morrall.
Yeah, but guess what? Johnny Unitas played the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
he beat Johnny Unitas, Baltimore Courts, and Don Shula. Fast forward to Eli Manning. Eli has the numbers in the regular season, minus wins, but who did he beat? Wait. It's drawing a blank. Who did he beat? I think he did it twice.
He beat Tom Brady.
And I think we call this guy the greatest of all time. Yeah. He beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady should have 9 wins. If you want to play the if game, I know it gets weird with Tom Brady and the Patriots, but Tom Brady could have more wins. But Eli Manning and the New York Giants, and yes, the defensive line, Flannel Sam, but it doesn't matter because Eli Manning got both those Super Bowl MVPs. So you're talking about Derek Carr. He would have to beat Patrick Mahomes. Well, and he can't play Patrick Mahomes. He would have to beat Patrick Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl, and then he would have to beat. There's nobody even in NFC that I could give him that credit for beating. Who's Jalen Hurts? If he beats Jalen Hurts, I'm not putting Derek Carr in the Hall of Fame for beating for Jalen Hurts or anybody on the NFC side. No way, Jose.
Well, he's going to the AFC if he goes to the Jets.
But that's what I'm saying. But who's he going to beat in the NFC that's worthy of being like, well, you know, that's what I'm saying.
I got you.
It's the wins. You look
he hasn't been great. He's a good quarterback.
First ballot Hall of Fame.
What the Jets are doing, they're giving him a sales pitch, obviously. He's going to get his face on billboards. He's going to get lots of commercials. And he's got a pretty nice team to surround him.
But why are they sales pitching him that he could be the greatest ever when he's the one that should be wanting to play with them?
Well, it was rumored that he was going to sign with the Saints. That was the favorite. So maybe the Jets are now thinking, like you've been saying since day one, that Aaron Rodgers ain't going to go there. And they got to get themselves a quarterback. They've already said it. Their owner has said, I am getting and signing a top-flight quarterback this offseason.
With the Aaron Rodgers deal, you can't wait. It's getting to the crunch time.
Is he still sitting in the dark, by the way?
He might be. I don't know. He might be on his ayahuasca, or I don't know what he's doing. But it's getting crunch time now. We're entering in March. We'll be in March, and I'm saying less than 2 weeks. You want to have a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback. You got to get the franchise rolling in the right direction. And if I'm the Jets, if I'm the Jets, and let's not even say Aaron Rodgers. If I'm the Jets, I got to give up 2 first rounds for this guy. I don't know what type of commitment it's going to be. He's already in that last phase. Hasn't won in Lambeau at home. Who knows if we're getting home playoff games at MetLife? He didn't win at Lambeau at home. So do I want to take a chance on this guy and not commit $50 million? I'm committing to a guy that's a little older. We're younger. That's a tough commit process when you fully think it out, because you're betting on.
Maybe they want him for teaching as well. Maybe they're not giving up on Zach Wilson.
Aaron Rodgers is not the teacher.
Yeah, I know.
Aaron Rodgers ain't the teacher. He's not the teacher.
I'm just digging,
type.
Man. I'm digging.
Oh, I know. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, although he doesn't have a no-trade clause. That's the only thing that sucks about that. He has the no-trade clause. But he can't retire.
The Aaron Rodgers discussion is obviously interesting, but I want to get back to Derek Carr just for a second, because believe it or not, I could not agree more with Tom Mazawey.
Wow.
Absolutely. Derek Carr.
That's a first.
It's not a first, but I emphatically...
we don't like Brady together.
That's right. I emphatically agree with Tom. I like LeBron. But I emphatically agree with Tom Mazawey on this one. And it's not necessarily for what Derek Carr has done. I'm not in love with Derek Carr as a quarterback or anything, but he has been good. He's had 8 seasons where he's thrown 20 touchdown passes. His numbers in the regular season, when you look at them juxtaposed with like an Eli Manning, they're going to come out looking similar, and I believe Eli Manning was a little bit more turnover prone. He was not a great regular season quarterback, and Derek Carr has been a good regular season quarterback, not necessarily great, but it hasn't really equated to a lot of winning.
So if he wins 1 Super Bowl, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer?
Well,
that's what the question said.
Let's just say Hall of Fame.
You know what?
I said first ballot. I'm just telling you what I read.
It's not as sort of black and white as that says, because if the New York Jets go to a Super Bowl and win it, I would have to assume that Derek Carr is a big part of it. Because look at them last year. The only reason that the New York Jets were not in the playoffs was because of terrible quarterback play. Zach Wilson so far looks like a whiff. Joe Flacco is a corpse, or a professional corpse. And Mike White, he had some moments, but he's kind of been a little bit inconsistent.
He's probably a great backup.
He is, yeah. I wouldn't.
But does that make him first ballot Hall of Famer?
I think he can. I think he can.
Because the question, what the Jets told Derek Carr was, if you come here and win a Super Bowl, thank you, Fletch. Jets told Derek Carr he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he wins in New York. This doesn't even say Super Bowl, by the way. I think we added Super Bowl, which was a little bit too forward of us. This just says if he wins in New York, he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Who the hell is telling this man these lies?
Well, I wouldn't, and I will say Super Bowl because winning. Yeah, you're right.
We're arguing that Phillip Rivers can even get in the Hall of Fame. And he's way better than Derek Carr.
But when it's all said and done, if Derek Carr plays 5, 6, 7 years in New York, we're obviously talking about a lot of hypotheticals, and they win, they obviously have talent with Breece Hall coming back, the offensive and defensive rookie of the year from the past season. If Derek Carr plays 5 to 7 more seasons, I think his numbers will look similar to a Phillip Rivers. And if they actually win a Super Bowl and Derek Carr is a Super Bowl MVP, he will not only be a first ballot Hall of Famer, he will go down as, and I know this is blasphemous, the greatest quarterback in Jets history. Joe Namath was overrated. He's only in the Super Bowl because of that guarantee.
All right, just back off there. Don't disparage Joe Namath.
He had one season in which
you weren't even born yet.
I understand, and I understand that the league was different.
Tread lightly when you talk about the Jets, man. You know I'm a Jet.
I know.
Tread
lightly.
But,
don't let me get up.
But you had Mark Sanchez. They had guys like Ken O'Brien, Chad Pennington. I mean, it hasn't been a great list of New York Jets quarterbacks. I'm not. That's why I'm saying it. It may sound crazy on the surface.
You know what it sounds like? It's similar to the conversation we had going into the season where you said, if J.J. McCarthy balls out this year and next year, he's the best quarterback in Michigan history. Based on when you look at the Michigan stats. So that's why I'm saying I kind of see what you're saying. You look at the Jets, Michigan State. I see green and white. I can think of only one thing. When you look at the Jets quarterbacks, I can absolutely see that. I mean, you're talking about Vinny Testaverde, arguably the best Jet quarterback of all time. So.
Chad Pennington. And you can say the same thing about the Chicago Bears. I know that people were saying that Jay Cutler had the chance to be the best quarterback in Bears history.
That's Mike McMahon, man.
Jim McMahon. But Jim McMahon, we all know he wasn't a great quarterback.
Mike McMahon was a Lions best, right?
Yeah, he was quarterback too. Jim McMahon was great. He just got hurt that second season, and then he never was the same after that. Jim McMahon was going to be really good.
He kind of suffered from what Bob Greasy did on the Miami Dolphins. He didn't have to do a whole lot. He had that running game with Walter Payton and that dominant defense.
You're absolutely telling the truth.
But that's another one where the Bears quarterback history and the Jets quarterback history is not great.
And shocking. Both those teams are holding on to those one Super Bowl wins.
That is.
Both of them. 69 and 85.
And still shocking to this day is how the Jets passed up on Dan Marino because supposedly he smoked weed and they took Ken O'Brien.
What did we say yesterday?
Yeah,
we were talking about it. That came up yesterday, man. That's funny.
Really?
Yeah, because we were randomly talking about picks and we're talking about Jalen Carter supposedly having character issues, and we were like, well, they said, well, how's it come up before? I was like, well, in 1984, Dan Marino was the second best quarterback in the draft and went last.
Isn't that something?
I mean,
he smoked weed at Pitt.
You could even argue first, but it's splitting hairs. But the funny thing, Maz, is that Ken O'Brien, besides for Joe Namath, he too has an argument for best quarterback in Jets history.
He does. He had a great few years with Wesley Walker.
He did. I mean, but Boomer he had his better years in Cincinnati. I know, but that's why I'm saying what I said about Derek Carr is not crazy, but it's obviously a lot of hypotheticals.
Don't bring up Jack Trudeau though. Please.
Geno Smith, remember him when he was on the Jets? He was drafted to be their slave.
If he didn't lose that fight in the locker room, he'd still be a Jet.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
He was never going to win that fight.
No, he wasn't.
No, he was not. You're not going to win a fight up against an NFL defender. But anywho, we're going to go to the last segment. I really enjoyed this one about Derek Carr. But first, I got to tell you about where I get my haircuts. And of course, is Lady Jane's. You've seen it. And like I said, I know a lot of people in the chat, they talk about my hair and they don't like it. But I know I look good, and why I look good is because I go to Lady Jane's. Those wonderful stylists, they are all great. They've all done a wonderful job with my hair. And you can come to Lady Jane's too for an award-winning experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I've lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
And we've made it to the final segment. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I am Flannel Sam. To my right is Braylon Edwards. We have Tom Mazawey in the Maz chair. We have JB Smooth in the sound booth. And of course, we have Fletch on the ones and twos. And before we move on, I gotta get JB's input on this one. When it comes to Derek Carr, who is more correct, me and Maz or Braylon?
I might have to decide with you and Mass.
Hey!
Not a boy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bray.
You black, man. What happened?
Yeah, what happened?
It's Black History Month, man. What's going on? First McClung wins. Now you hate something.
Oh, McClung was awesome, by the way.
No, he wasn't. I'm just joking. He should have won the dunk contest. That was a joke. Look, the way the question was said, they said if he wins in New York, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't believe he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I damn sure don't think he's a first ballot. Even if he wins, he's got to win Super Bowls, plural, to be in the Hall of Fame.
Plural? I just want to get in one.
Rich Gannon got to a Super Bowl. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I'm talking about the Jets.
No, Rich Gannon is obviously.
Well, Rich Gannon got numbers. That's what you're saying about.
He got numbers later on in his career. His prime when he was older.
Rich Gannon won league MVP.
That is actually
2002 season.
Something that you can't.
Is that the year they lost to the Bucks?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. But we would be remiss to forget about mentioning the MSU basketball team. They beat Indiana at the Breslin Center for, I believe, the first time since the tragic shooting.
Yep, that was their first home game.
The first home game since the shooting. Usually, I obviously don't root for Michigan State. I'm a Michigan fan, but it was nice to see them get this win. It seemed like everybody was inspired. The crowd was electric. Indiana's a good team, and Michigan State pretty much got them from start to finish. So, Braylon, do you agree with me that on that game, with coming off of that tragedy, we're all sort of Spartans for a day? We're all rooting for them.
No, you are. We actually are all Spartans for a day. When these things happen, and people have talked about it time and time again, Maz, I think we talked about it last week when this first happened, sport transcends. So when things like these happen, whether it's 9/11, whether it's the shooting at Michigan State, sports is the way where we look at the distractions. Sports is where we need to. So to see Michigan State win, that was really good for sport. I still remember when 9/11 happened, and I know there's two different circumstances, but they were both terrible times and terrible moments. I just remember Sammy Sosa running out on the field with the American flag. I still remember FDNY watching the New York Yankees playing that game. But that's how we got back into
President Bush throwing out the pitch.
Exactly, throwing out the first pitch. That's how we got away from the bad moment. So them getting a win, I think that was huge for their community up there in East Lansing. So congratulations to you guys. I hope you keep moving in the forward direction. We still will stand by you.
My daughter Lily was at that game. She's at every game. She had thoughts of not going to the game. She's hurting. Everyone's hurting. She's hurting more if she knew one of the boys, as I explained to you. She knew Brian Frazier really well. But she said it was the greatest thing that she ever did for herself and for her friends. They all came together, and they've been doing different projects every day, like meeting at the Rock, painting the Rock, flowers and stuffed animals, and going and talking to therapists and just talking it all out. She didn't want to go back to school on Monday. She didn't. And this is a kid that Lily loves. She loves being at Michigan State. She loves being a Spartan.
It was a butthole teacher that made her come back, wasn't it?
Yep. You know what? He's a bad egg. But he changed his mind a little bit, but he's still a bad egg. But nonetheless, she went to that game last night. She said it's the best thing. It was like a love fest. And they mentioned the 3 kids that were murdered, and the 5 that are still fighting for their lives. I think 3 of those 5 are doing better now, thank God. We have to keep rooting for the other two to come on strong as well. But it was great. And when you see Tom Izzo, I don't know, Tom Izzo's special to me. I always loved the guy. There's something about him that I just love. And he can't hold his emotions in. Maybe that's why I like him. He is what he is. And, you know, the speech he gave last week after the tragedy was awesome. It was 7 minutes. It felt like 30 seconds. And last night he cried after the game again. And Mel Tucker and the president, Alan Haller, hugged on him. It's just a great thing. I think Michigan State can maybe make a run here a little bit. Now, I'm not talking about this for the tragedy. I'm talking about I still think they have a pretty damn good team that can make a run in March, and I hope they do. I hope they win it all.
Ooh, I can't even go that far. Obviously, because I can't go that far. Obviously, my heart hurts for Michigan State and what happened to them, the tragic shooting. But there's still the element of sports dislike. I will just say that in an MSU national championship, I still don't want to see. I don't think we can end the show any better than what you did, Maz, because you're obviously very close to the situation, but vis-a-vis your daughter. So great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Otherwise, it was a very, very fun show. I was glad to get to do this with Braylon and Maz, and we will do this.
Well, proud of you, man.
Except that Derek Carr stuff, man. Y'all can miss me with Derek Carr. It's just like Deion Sanders has been talking about. They let anybody in the Hall of Fame. Now, to get in the Hall of Fame, you got to be different.
Facts.
Like, how the hell are you going to put Derek Carr? I don't care if he wins the Super Bowl. How can I have Derek Carr looking at Joe Montana?
This last class.
How can I have Derek Carr looking at Tom Brady?
This last
you
class.
See what I'm saying?
It was a weak
100%.
class.
Let's get back to putting in guys that changed the game. Like Aaron Donald, he's a game changer. You can see that now. He's in year 9. I know he's a game changer. I don't mind seeing his bust in there. Only game changer. Stop letting guys with good stats in.
You know, Braylon, I actually agree with you on that one, and I took that into consideration that they let, I wouldn't say anybody in, but they let, it's pretty, the standards aren't as great as, say, the MLB Hall of Fame. So by those standards, I could see Derek Carr getting in. But I agree with you on your sentiment. Braylon Edwards, as always, get us out of here on a Wednesday.
Hey, look, hell of a show by you guys. Good to have Maz back. You will be back the rest of the week, so we're going to have some more fun. Still talking Lions, still talking. Hey, and shout out to the Red Wings once again. In fact, that's how we'll finish. Red Wings winners 6 of 7, balling on the road.
Get the Rangers on Thursday.
Get
That's
the Rangers
tomorrow.
on Thursdays. 2 points. 2 points
2
back.
points
4
back
in hand.
on the wild card.
All right, man. Come on, Red Wings. The eyes are playing, like D-Mac says. JB, great show out of you. Fletch, Uncle Matt, great to have you back.
Thank you.
Flannel Sam,
Happy birthday again, Bray.
And I appreciate it, man. We love you guys. See you tomorrow.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.